everybody. How's it going, eh? Just making sure everything's alright. Oh, actually, timer will start after this loading screen, so we've got a bit of time. So, hello everybody, this is Codename Kids Next Door, Operation Video Game, being run at 5 in the morning. My family is asleep, so I gotta be, like, real quiet. So that's all we have to work with. Pleased to meet you all. My name's Steb, or Steb McDreb, as I've ended up on most of my handles. And the time is going to be starting pretty much as soon as we get done with this PS2-ass loading screen. And we're good.
Good luck, man.
Thank you very much. So starting off right here, this is Operation Tutorial, where basically the rest of the kids next door have been taken down by the Toiletnator, and we have to fight him. Only problem is, we think we're in a training simulation. He's just that lame of a villain. So basically we're just going to be going through the motions here, learning about the movement. We have side jumps, we have attacks, and we're going to have a quick boss fight with him at the end that we're pretty much just going to be able to power our way through with like super attacks. If he gives us the good RNG, then things will go well, and if he doesn't, then we're going to have a bad time. So we get these two shots here, and now the RNG will happen, and we did not get the good RNG. So normally he would come to us, but we're going to have to go to him and shoot him right in his foot. And we're going to hope we don't take any damage here, because he can hit us, but thankfully we have a whole bunch of iframes there. And now we get the collectibles, and we're going to get all of these. And then we're going to hit the end of the level. It's a quick tutorial, but it should get you up to speed pretty quickly. I missed that one. Normally I never miss that one. Don't know what happened there. And that'll be the end of that level. With a 101. Slow, but I'll take it. And now I'm going to key that into my time calculator, because that's what we do here. We don't time this game in real time. We time this game by adding up in-game time, because loading screens on the PS2 were pretty long as far as loading screens go. So up next we have Operation Donutty. Here we see longtime villain of the TV show Grandma Stuff'em has taken over the local donut shop, and number one, the bald little guy over here, has been sent to investigate. Donutty, it stands for something if you're familiar with Codename Kids Next Door. Everything has an acronym, every name of everything has an acronym for it. And you're going to get used to acronyms, because I, in my having way too much time on my hands, have made up acronyms for all of the major skips in this run. So, if you don't like acronyms, I'm afraid this isn't the stream for you. Can you tell that I'm filling time to wait through a long-ass loading screen yet? Get used to that as well, because we're going to have to do it a lot. Thankfully, it gives me a lot of time to explain the basic premise of the level, anything major we're going to have to do. So first up, the basic movement. If you've ever seen Ocarina of Time or Ratchet & Clank speedruns, similar premise. Whenever we get a chance, we're going to be locking onto going into lock-on mode, and then strafing and jumping. Now up here we've got the first major skip of the run, a Kids Next Door wall. Wonky alignment lowers length. We're just going to lock on here, and oh, it hasn't worked. Oh dear. Okay, backup strat. We're going to just let this guy try and force us in here if we can get him in a good position where he's not attacking us. Come on. Ow. I just got the new setup for this and it didn't work. Come on. There we go. We just kind of wedge ourselves between him and the wall, and he kind of just smushes us through. That could have gone a lot cleaner, but I'll take what I got. And now we're just sort of mashing circle here. There would have been a tutorial there after a sort of a forced fight sequence, but instead we're just going to keep going through this sizable oven. And now we're going up a staircase of donuts on rivers of red-hot cooking oil. As you do. PS2 license games, these sort of things just happened back then. Now then, you can do this a bit faster by sort of running forward and trying to anticipate where the donuts come, but if the next donut is going to be higher up, then sometimes it's possible to fall through them as they're rising up and fall into the lava and die, and nobody wants that to happen. But we got through it pretty steadily but pretty cleanly. Should have gone for a lock-on jump there, but I didn't. And this is the fan segment. Now, moving platforms in this game tend to be on a global timer, so there's no real reliable way to do this. We sort of just have to jump for it. Wait for the camera to cooperate. There he is. There's the next platform. Ain't that nice? Now, we pretty much want to hope that the platforms are decently near each other, because like, if they're like that, where they're like opposite each other, then we can go for those jumps, but sometimes you get messed up right at the last minute because going to the other side flips the camera, and sudden changes in camera make this game's movement controls very confused and upset, because you saw there, the way the camera spun around, that messed up my movement. Because directions in this game are tied to like where the camera is, rather than just the universal direction of the stick that you're holding. So yeah, we've pretty much just got to go up here, working out wherever the things are. Just about managed to make that. We hit the switch, which opens a door right back down at the bottom. And we had to do a lot of complicated jumping and moving, and now we just fall straight back down. Oh, no, there's a platform in the way. Not as elegant as I would have... Are you joking me? Got very unlucky there with the platforms, but otherwise we're just going to move on through to the River of Donut Batter. Yes, thank you, number one. Thank you for pointing out that I was correct in my initial assessment of the situation. I should hope I am at this point. I've played this game only far too many times than anyone normally would. And now we're just going to avoid those enemies. You saw like the little green like cabbage dude earlier? Well, these like donut batter dudes are more basically the same enemy except tankier, and they have projectile attacks, so they're infinitely more annoying. And you may have noticed, even though I said we're going to be doing those lock-on strafe jump attacks, we're not doing those because it's very easy to lock onto an enemy and have your directions messed up. Which is why I'm going to try and get some backwards jumps here. We got hit. That's fine, I'll take that. And then we get through here. One of them is probably going to keep following me. Yep, this tenacious little so-and-so. Get through the cruller. I said get through the cruller, thank you very much. Now we're in here, we just hit this other switch, open the door, just like the first time we did this room. I hope I'm coming through loud enough. I've tried to set the microphone up at a decent level, so I hope everything's coming through in decent balance. And now we're just going to jump through these guys, we want nothing to do with them. Get the ledge grab. Now we sort of hook shot up. You may have noticed, by the way, it's been telling us press square to fire the entire time, because technically we didn't finish that tutorial. And now we're going to be approaching the boss. That Eastern European lady you're hearing is the villain of the stage, who we are about to go and confront. Just going to ignore the enemies. Very nearly got hit, that could have been dangerous. And now here we have the boss fight against Grandma Stuff'em in the Chunk Wagon, which is the game affectionately calls it. Now, first thing we're going to do here is just move over here. We've got to be by this switch because we're going to need to press it in a bit. Thankfully, Grandma instantly aggroes onto us, and her attacks get blocked by this donut jelly receptacle, which is now going to be filled with donut jelly. Now that's very important because it lowers her shield. She's got a shield up at the moment. Now we put down a giant donut as bait, and Grandma, unable to resist her own cooking, is going to go for it. Now we're going to do about 8 or 9 lock-on jumps to get over to the other side of the room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we mash circle on the wall, and we hit the button. And Grandma goes in the hole. And now we lock onto this guy, use him as just sort of a geographical waypoint marker. Oh, got sent in the wrong direction. See where the camera turned around and it sort of messed with our sense of direction. And now Grandma is vulnerable, so we're going to go on and we're going to start pelting Grandma with mustard. Now in most other levels we would have collected an extra weapon here, but in this level we don't really do it because the mustard shot and the gumzooka, it's called, it's like a gumball pistol, are basically identical, except for the gumzooka has like a ricochet on it, which isn't very useful in this fight. As far as DPS goes, they're basically the same. And the super attacks, again on this boss, are basically the same DPS. They do way more damage to the Toiletnator than to the Chunk Wagon here. Though I suppose they're safer to use in this situation because of the iframes, but this works about well enough. I know in the middle of a marathon isn't the best time for theory crafting, but that's when we're doing our theory crafting. Dagnabbit. So now again, using one of these dudes as a waypoint, you see like the donut batter dudes have started spawning as well. We overshot the button just a little bit. Thankfully we didn't take any damage there. Sometimes by this point you're on fairly low health and you have to sacrifice a bit of DPS to be able to go and get the health. I've got a good solid lock on the Grandma. We only have to do this 3 times, so after this there'll only be one more time we have to do this. A couple of enemies getting in the way, so we're just going to show them that you don't mess with number 1. God damn it. Make sure we're by the button. And the last necessary silo of jelly arrives. Slide over to the button there. Thank you, button range acquisition. Game mechanics. Turn around again. Get the lock onto Grandma. Sometimes, even though I said you lock onto enemies and that messes with your sense of direction, if you need to move in a semicircle, then locking onto enemies can be very advantageous. Who knew? Oh, almost went in the hole. That's the Grandma hole. We don't go in the Grandma hole. I made that sound way weirder than it needed to. That's the brand of humour we have to deal with for the next roughly 2 hours. Oh, locking onto Donut Batter Boy. But Grandma's in the way, so it doesn't matter as much. So we're just going to get the final bit of DPS in on the Grandma, and we're good. Going to have the time for that level coming through in just a moment. 8:34, not bad at all. Make sure you remember to skip the cutscene. I have had runs where I've forgotten to skip cutscenes in the middle of faffing about between levels, and coming up next is Operation Boogification, where basically while we were away doing that, the Common Cold, Common Cold themed villain, went and snotted up the treehouse. So now as number 5, we've got to show him that that's not okay to do, and we've got to de-snot the treehouse. This level's a lot shorter than the previous one, and number 5 is, well, a lot more interesting than number 1, purely because, well, she has better movement. She's a melee character similar to number 4, which means she has both a double jump and a air attack, which gives us a good bit of speed. So the first thing we have to do is deal with the treehouse security, expertly dodging these well-placed tennis ball turrets. Just jumping and weaving. Making sure we've got a good angle for our strafe jumps, getting in a good mix of jumping attacks and strafe jumps to get the optimum movement to make our way through the stage. Now coming up next we're going to have a new technique that I'm going to go for. Well, not coming up next, coming up in just a little bit. We're going to have 2 roughly 10 or 15 second skips coming up within very quick vicinity of each other. Just going to activate this final thing. And now up comes a wall jump segment. Number 5 is the only character that can do this. Can we get the good wall jump? Yes, we can. Sometimes if you're a little lower, then you have to make an extra jump there. And it just wastes about a second or two. Gonna bring this platform over. Get on top of it. And now here come the 2 skips. Hit the checkpoint. Oh. Normally you have to hit a switch to get them to start swinging, and it activates a cutscene. We're going to skip that, and now normally you have to go over there and start a cutscene to bring a slow-moving platform over, but instead we are going to... Oh, messed it up. Okay, we're in. Ooh, that very nearly went wrong, but we just about managed it. So now we've got to throw some boxes to get past these electrified floors. Now, normally we'd have to, like, navigate through these... Oh! took one more hit than I would have liked, but we just about made it through. Now, we could die here. If we do die, it's not too bad, because there's a checkpoint there. I'm getting a little caught up in just how fast... I did not realize how fast things went by in this level. Okay, we managed to get through. Normally we have to go through that health, because we... Now, coming up here, I should probably explain what we're about to skip. There's normally a puzzle where you have to flip switches while going in and out of these rotating disco lights in order to open a door. But we don't do that. We utilize Kids Next Door Operation Disco. Door impeccably sidelined, causing omittance. Instead of bothering with flipping the switches in the right order and going in and out of the lights, what we're going to do is go up here, go over to this door, and thanks to the magic walls that appear occasionally in this game, we just smush ourselves in here, make sure we're at a good angle. We're not at a good angle yet, just a bit more to the right, and... Okay, that was a bit more to the left, right, that was a bit too far. And now, see where we're moving backwards along very quickly? We want to find that angle and hold it, because it'll let us clip through the wall. There we go, that's a little more... I'm not quite used to that setup, but it's a lot faster than having to use the health we picked up as like a waypoint, because that required us being at full health. Managed to get through, got the good cycle on those floors. Took a bit of damage, but it doesn't really matter. And now we just move forward pretty much onto the end of the level, where there's going to be one final confrontation with some enemies. Didn't want to get hit there, but we did, it's alright. And here we're at the final section of the level. May recognize this room for tutorial, except now it's covered in bogies and little wall climbing scorpion dudes. And normally these scorpion dudes are annoying to fight, but thankfully we discovered that doing an air attack just kills them in one hit. Why didn't we think of that before? Just kill them in one hit, you know how it is. And we want to watch out for this, these boogers dripping from the ceiling, because if we get hit by one of them, then we get sort of like a stun debuff on us. It's weird. But we didn't get that, and now we're going to hit this switch, and that's going to bring us to the end of the level. What was the time on that? 4:26. Again, very, very good. Only a few seconds away from my IL personal best for both of the levels we just did. Oh. Remember when I said I forget to skip the cutscene sometimes? That just happened. And now, coming up, we have Operation Snot Bomber, which is a number 2 stage, which means it's a shmup stage, which means it's an auto-scroller. This is a long game, if you hadn't noticed already. Oh, yep, loading bar, keep going. Last marathon run I did, the game crashed at this loading screen, but thankfully it hasn't here. That's another reason we time in-game times, because this game has a pronounced but thankfully rare habit of crashing at any point for genuinely no reason. Now what we're doing here is the game is basically forcing our weapons offline to force us to use the chicken soup explosion, which is basically your smart bomb. Also, yeah, as previously stated, this is a number 2 stage, so I hope you like puns. So yeah, basically we've got this smart bomb that we're going to keep filling up, but we actually want to be using this as little as possible throughout the stage, mostly because we're saving it for a boss fight at the end, and also mostly because it slows down the game when we use it. And that adds up to a good couple of seconds. I don't know why I just forgot the plural at the end of that word. Now, our weapons should be back online. Ow. And yeah, we're basically just... It's a shmup stage, we're playing a shmup. We want to get that filled up one last time so that when we can use it on this next level transition when the common cold shows up, just to get him off the screen as soon as possible. But then after that, we're not going to be using it except for one time near to skip a cycle in the second phase of the boss fight. But we don't have to worry about that for a good about 10 minutes or so. And I think we used it too early. So that means we just have to wait for him to finish firing this. That wastes about a second or two, but oh well. It's a marathon, we take those things. We just accept that that's the kind of thing that has to happen. And I am really worried that I'm not coming through as well, so I'm just real quick gonna turn my audio interface up just a little bit. Just making sure that I'm at a good level and I don't accidentally end up being a little too quiet for my own good. That's the good thing about having a decent audio setup, is that you can control volume on the fly like that, just with the turn of one or two knobs. Shmup stage. Woo! And now here we're not going to bother with getting him off the screen, because that doesn't actually progress the level in this instance. He's just basically background decoration compared to the actual enemies, which still have to scroll before we can move on to the next area. If you think this is boring now, there's 2 more of these in the run. To be fair, this is probably the one with the least going on, because of course it is the first of these shmup stages, so it's also probably the easiest. I mean, actually the second one is probably easier on a casual playthrough, but it has more going on as a speed playthrough. Because that's the annoying thing about these shmup levels, is it's very difficult to gain time on them, but it's very easy to lose time, if that makes sense.
Alright, you boogers, this guy's not big enough for both of us, so someone's going down. That's you or me, and it's not gonna be me.
Whatever you say, number 2. Number 2, the same voice actor as number 1, in case you didn't know, voiced by Benjamin Diskin, better known these days as the voice of Joseph Joestar in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Trivia fans? Yeah, there's a lot of good voices in this game. Tom Kenny shows up, pretty much all the voice actors from the show. Maurice LaMarche shows up in some ending cutscenes. Even Mark Hamill shows up as a boss that we'll be encountering later. All the same voice actors as their characters from the show. They went a good way with the presentation of this game. Even beloved games like Battle for Bikini Bottom couldn't quite get all the voice actors back. That's not to say this is a better game than Battle for Bikini Bottom, of course. I mean, it isn't. There's no real 2 ways about it, it just isn't. But they tried. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. It still resonated at least with a couple of people. Or at least I should hope so, because that's why I'm playing it at 5 AM and I'm 20 years old. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Maybe if you kept your finger on the trigger instead of up your nose, you'd be a better shot.
Ow. Took a hit there. I guess I should mention one thing about the shmup stages. I don't know how loud my controller is coming through, but you can probably hear me pressing the button over and over. Because I guess they wanted to stop you from getting a little complacent, so they made it so that if you just hold the button down, then you'll stop firing after about, I want to say about like 3 or 4 seconds. So you have to periodically repress the button to ensure that the bullets keep coming out of the front of the ship and towards the enemies. It's a little bit annoying. But, You'll also notice I'm collecting these rainbow monkeys that we basically ignored throughout the other two stages. They don't really do anything, we just collect them here because it's something to do. They're basically just, like, they unlock collectibles and, like, extras and stuff. Oh. Sorry, I was just taking a moment to check my email mid-run because I saw the notification come up on my phone, which is what I'm using to keep the time. That auto-scroller feeling when you check your email during a run with no consequences. You also might be noticing that this is the first stage where we've been collecting those little planks of wood, like pickup things that give you, like, the upgraded weapons. We didn't need those in the first two proper levels, but we're going to be basically trying to get all of them as fast as possible in every stage after this one. Those just happen to be the only stages where they basically didn't matter. And now we've got the boss fight coming up. A few more enemies, and then we're going to have the showdown with the Common Cold himself, piloting the Snot Bomber. Now, the Snot Bomber is invulnerable, so the first thing we have to do is try and do damage any way possible, which is in this case by taking out its engines. But then when we do take out the engine, we're going to have to deal damage pretty much solely by using the chicken soup explosion. Okay, one of the engines is already smoking. In fact, we've taken it off. This is a very good first phase so far. Oh wow, that was incredibly fast. It used to be that we were lucky to have one engine smoking by the time the shoot the engines prompt came up, but here we managed to get both of them destroyed before the thing came up. I'm rambling a lot here if you can't tell, and I'm talking over in-game dialogue. That's probably not very good. I should learn when and when to not talk. Now here we're pretty much just going to be wanting to get chicken soup charges as quick as possible by absorbing these waves of projectiles. And that big one, if it hits us, even if we have our shield up, because we have to have the shield, you saw there, our shield was instantly depleted because we have to have the shield up to be able to absorb these projectiles. And now he actually is going to be aiming for us, and the projectiles are only going to come in one wave at a time instead of two. So it's going to take a little bit longer from here. But we should still be able to get through this. No real problem. Ow. And after this cycle here, he's going to start, ow. Get the health. Yeah, after the cycle here, he's going to start firing off other projectiles as well. So 2 more chicken soups from here should do it. Yeah, see these like little pulsing little green doodads, these like flubbers. And we can destroy these, thankfully, so we don't have to worry about them too much. There is actually a reason to press the square button in this phase of the fight. And yep, just one more stage is going to be ending pretty soon. Ow. Like we were able to get just enough energy to actually be able to absorb some stuff from that wave. And there we go, that's the stage over. What's the time? 10:37. We had a slow second phase there, which didn't help us much. We lost some of the time we gained from that brilliant first phase. And now we're coming into Operation Spank Happy, where it's later in the day, number 4 returns to the treehouse, only to find that his comrades have been turned into vampires. Because, yeah, that's a thing that happens in this show. They've been turned into spank-happy vampires by the dreaded Count Spankulot. Because, yeah, vampires in this, they don't drink blood or anything, they just spank children. They'll explain it later, don't worry. For now, we just have to basically turn our friends back. Well, actually, only one of our friends. But I'll get to that later. So now we're just watching a cutscene. Here we're seeing the vampire versions of numbers 1, 2, 3, and 5. Skip the dialogue, and then watch them teleport away again. Nice cutscene. Glad we could have this talk. Meet up next week. So yeah, now there's some security bots, and we're gonna punch them. Number 4 is probably my favorite character in the game. His jump attack gives us way more speed than number 5's. And oh geez. Now we just gotta wait for these guys to come down. And then we hit the monitor here to let the scoop come down. We're doing things faster than the dialogue can keep up. They try to explain things a lot with characters like internal monologue. So now we're up here. Make sure we have enough super energy for later. We need that for a boss fight. Ow. You see there just how serious getting hit can be. It stops you basically dead in your tracks. Damage boosting, aside from that one time in bookification, is not really a thing in this game. Now, yeah, we just fight these dudes, try and get them grouped up so that we can punch multiple robots at once. Because really, who does not want to punch multiple robots? Now we get this thing, go over to the back, take out this guy first, because he has projectiles, ouch. And that also lets these dudes have time to converge, as it were. Even though they haven't really converged a whole lot. Door opened, go through. This has been a very fast-paced level so far, and normally it's supposed to sort of slow down and all take place in this one room coming up, number 4's room. But, we're not going to let that happen. I'll explain that in just a moment. Punch, punch, punch. Punchy, 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 punch. Get them collaterals. Oh geez, one of them's still alive. Only needed one more punch. Now what's supposed to happen here is we collect the weapon by getting all the parts, and then we fight mini-boss versions of vampires numbers 2, 3, and 5. But instead, we're going to not do that because of Operation Vampire with a UH, because we're 10 years old and we can't spell. Very aggravating mini-bosses past, implementing unreliable hole. And you'll see why it's an unreliable hole when the time comes to clip through the door. Because yes, this is another door clip. We skip the dialogue, get introduced to the jump pads, which we're not actually... well, we are going to use, but they don't really come much into play until the next stage. Go over along here. There's a part right there, but we're not going to collect it. Instead, we're just going to move on up here. This guy. We want to get him out of the way just because we need to lock on for this strat, and he'll mess up our lock on if we don't get it instantly. Turn around. We want to be perpendicular. Then move a little bit to the left. And now we sort of slide backward. Oh, didn't quite get it. Slide backwards, jam ourselves in the middle. And we just sort of slowly work our way backwards through the unreliable hole. This skip can be a little unreliable, but trust me, the setup is a lot more consistent than the way we used to do, which involved basically... see, there we go. Ordinarily, we just sort of jammed ourselves in the hole and hoped that eventually the game cooperated. Problem there is we were just a little bit too far to the left. Angle wasn't quite working, and now we move forward to go and fight Vampire number 1. And you'll see why I've been collecting that super energy this whole time. Because normally you'd think without the weapon, how are we supposed to damage him? But it turns out, not only can super attacks still damage him, but they can hit him multiple times, because the hitboxes are weird. We didn't get it though, which means the 2 cycle is not going to happen here, which is sad. And again, we didn't... this might even be a 4 cycle, this isn't good at all. I don't know what's going on today. Yeah, that's a 4 cycle if I ever saw one. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. What was the time on that? 4:50? That was, considering just how bad that level went, or rather that final boss went, that could have been a whole heck of a lot worse. Realistically speaking. And now we have a number 3 level, Operation Hamsterama. Basically, after that, the power went out to the treehouse, and because the treehouse is powered by multiple hamsters on teeny tiny little wheels, we gotta round them all up, and nobody else wants to do it, but number 3 enjoys cute cuddly little animals. So we're gonna do it. Now normally we'd have to spend most of the level running around hoping for good hamster RNG, but we can get the gun that helps us do this early thanks to Kids Next Door Operation Space, Speed Preventer accessed crazy early, which firstly involves smashing our face on this pipe and listening to some quality dialogue. So what we're going to do here is basically just jam our head under this pipe, hopefully we get jammed into the log, and then we float out into the void. Yeah. And this lets us glide ever so slowly towards about 2/3 of the way through the level. Which you'd think would be a crazy sequence break, but actually, not so much. They were very... If there's one thing they really, quality controlled on with this game, it's that they went to great lengths to ensure you pretty much can't sequence break a lot of the time. So, thankfully what we can do is we can get the gun. I'll elaborate on that in just a second because we're going to get to the gun in just a moment. We get into the area, get the fall damage. Taking fall damage is important because we're basically going to do a death warp back to the start of the level. I know, we're doing a death warp backwards. That seems surreal, but it's what we're doing. So there we get 3 out of 4, and then as we get this last one, ledge grab unopportune, but we'll take it. And now we're going to get the Frappe, which is a weaponized iced coffee machine.
Next door, Frappe. Freeze ray always paralyzes potential enemies.
You said it, game. Oh. Okay. That happened, I guess. And now we basically throw ourselves off this ledge a whole bunch until we sprain our ankle and have to go put a plaster on it by going back to the start of the level. But thankfully, when we do that, they let us keep the gun, which is very nice. This doesn't work out to being a whole lot faster just because of how long this takes, but it's a whole heck of a lot more consistent than hoping the hamsters cooperate. So there we go. Now there is a definitive route I figured out to do this, but damned if I can remember it. I'd never commit it to memory, which you'd think would be easy considering I'm the one who made it up. But I don't know, I just can't remember it. Alright, where do we go from here? There's one there, yep. And then there'll be one on that. Oh, yep, it's all coming back to me now. Get this little boy over here. We get these two rapscallions. And pretty much as soon as we get 11 of them, we can go right to the end of this area, because there's 4 of them pretty much right next to each other, all at the bottom. 9, one over there, 10. See where 3 of them are? 12, 13, 14. We're just making sure we don't miss a jump, because I am blind in one eye, so my depth perception isn't the best. So I'm making liberal use of the glide move to make sure that we land precisely where we mean to. Now we get some good strafe jumps going, and when we lock onto the hamsters, now it's time to play freeze. Except that's not a saying, because freeze isn't like a common game. Freeze tag, maybe, but just freeze? I don't know where I was going with that metaphor. So now we basically go on a sub-zero rampage, freezing whatever hamsters we can find. See, now, normally in this area, we'd be having to chase all these hamsters around and hoping, above all else, that they cooperated. And in fact, we're kind of still having to do that because of the time it takes them to thaw, essentially. I'm sorry about this dialogue. Normally I play this game with the dialogue muted, but Marathon, get the full experience, why don't you? That sounds like a slogan of some sort. Marathon, get the full experience. Shit, I'm a voice actor. I should do that. That'll be what I'm doing as a commercial 10 years from now. Now, it's essentially raining hamsters because they're playing around with the jump pads. So basically they just land on top of us, we freeze them. The level speaks for itself at the... Oh geez, what direction am I facing? Okay. Again, camera, sense of direction. Strange. Now we want to try and get a good angle here, so we can essentially strafe jump all the way down this hallway. Here, that's not quite it. You can see we're moving like slightly up, relatively. And this ought to work, even though we're sort of sliding against the wall. When we get to the door, we won't... Oh, we're moving up again, and here we are. Throws a hamster over there, we'll get him. And do you recognise this place? This is where we killed ourselves. Which normally that would sound like a line from like an edgy J-horror movie, but nope. Instead, it's just a discussion of speedrun routes. Freeze the hamsters. Nice and cooperative. Now we gotta go up. See, a jump pad has spawned here now. These weren't here first time we came, because they hadn't quite been activated yet. Now, if we were doing this level normally... Oh, I messed it up. Well, basically, as long as you're gliding and they haven't seen you yet, you can get as close as they like, and their aggro won't activate. Which used to be the thing we would rely on until we found out how to do Operation Space. I'm escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by hamsters. Space. If I had room to actually have volume, that would have maybe been a halfway decent Tim Curry impression, but as it is, I'm sorry you had to listen to that. These stumps are annoying, but hopefully we can work around them. They didn't quite cooperate there. Even with the freeze gun, you haven't quite eliminated all the RNG here. Quality dialogue.
I don't want to spend all day watching number 3 play some stupid hamster game. I just want the power back on so I can play some real games. Some video games.
This is a real game.
Number 4 saying what we're all thinking.
And you really hurt their feelings.
Oh, can you at least hurry?
What games is everyone else playing at the moment? I just reinstalled Warframe. That's a fun game. At least it was when I played it 3 years ago. I haven't quite gotten used to it again yet. Am I really filling time in a marathon speedrun by talking about Warframe? Oh no. That's just the kind of run this is. Sometimes there's really hard stuff, but sometimes there's just downtime where you're just pressing square on some... Let me through the pipe, please. Okay, 10 hamsters. Now we're going into the final segment, which is the hardest segment. You have to get 25 hamsters in here. Ow, my back, I'm like hunched over. Ow. Bring the microphone up. Oh. Now, these hamsters cooperated by having a bunch in just the first section. Please do not bounce out of here on the jump pad. There's hamsters pretty much coming and going wherever they please in this area, so we kind of just have to hope that you get lucky. It's less so RNG as more as just AI. RAI, random AI. That's essentially it. So there will be RNG in this run, just later. Oh, hello. Where did you little buggers come from? Oh, jeez, they just keep coming. Okay, we got 14, which triggers another cutscene for some reason. Don't worry, after this level we won't be seeing number 3 again for some time. Oh jeez. You? With any luck we'll be able to stay on the ground here. Except I guess that's not happening. We want to come up here, maybe try and get a vantage point, see if we can find any sort of lurking cliff hamsters. Okay, you see like 3 of them over there? Gotta get the high ground. You know how it is, we're all a bunch of meme people here. Oh dude, high ground, you got the high ground. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm filling time in a speed run. There should be stuff to talk about here, surely. Right, one more hamster. There we go. In fact, we got more than one. And that'll be the end of the level. 11:20. Oh dear. That took a lot longer than it should have done. Remember to skip the cutscene. Just making sure my timer's in order. And now we're coming up to Operation Spankerific. Remember those vampires from a stage ago? Yeah, well, this time we're going after the guy who made them, Count Spankulot himself. We're playing as number 1 again. And this stage is, with no skips in it, it's probably the longest stage in the run, and it has a mid-level loading screen just to cheese you off even more. Thankfully there's at least some stuff going on. It's not just like a boring stage. There's mechanics. First thing we're going to do is try and bypass a cutscene trigger. We didn't do it. That's actually quite hard to do. I'm still not entirely sure on how to do it. But anyway, we want to get this thing. This is sort of continuing on with the theme established by the previous level, which is now we want to try and get these upgrade parts as soon as possible. Now, these vampire dudes can only be hurt when they're in the light, so we have to be constantly shooting bug zappers, and then lure them into the light, and do the deeps. Gotta wait for this guy to come over. They can be hurt with charge shots, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't die from just one of them, and we need as much power energy as we can get our grubby little mitts on for this next section. Now I know he just said that we've got to save that kid as soon as possible, but we're gonna leave him for just a bit. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go up here, and we're gonna get, not only are we gonna get a weapon upgrade part, but we're oh, I almost messed that up by jumping in the wrong direction. So yeah, we've got that. Now we're just gonna move over here. There's another weapon upgrade part over here, and we need to get pretty much every single one that's available. as soon as we can get them. I mean, even if we missed all the ones here, they're available later in the stage, but actually having the unlockable weapon, the Scamp, makes these stages go by so much faster. Because watch what's about to happen when I have to DPS this guy down with power shots. This guy takes something like 5 shots to kill. Although, depending on the bounces, it might be maybe 4, maybe 6, who knows. Oh, where'd he go? Where'd he go? Okay, normally he doesn't do this. I'm not sure what knocked him over the ledge, but we got him. And now we come back up and we press circle on the child to save his life and his ass. So while this kid's fanning out, we are going to move on to the next section of the level. Lock onto that bug zapper just so we can use it to move around a little bit better. And we got we're one weapon upgrade part away, and thankfully I know where the last one is. Oh, we're locking onto this guy. I know where the last one is. It's in a bush.
Gives next door scam, soup can, and magnified photon phaser.
So there's the Scamp. Basically, we taped a soup can to a flashlight and we made a deadly laser. And it one-shots these guys, which is why we get it as soon as possible. Avoided taking damage there. Very good. There's 8 of these kids total in the level. And when we get all of them, the level's gonna... Oh! Oops. It's gonna transition over to a, sort of a clock tower, free-for-all enemy fight area that will also lead into a boss. Now, even though it goes dark here, we're actually still moving. So we managed to get a little bit of additional progress there. And now we just move on, find the enemies we gotta shoot, and we shoot them with a gun. Charge up our laser attack, press circle, do that 4 more times, and we can play the second half of the level. When you lay everything out like that, it seems so simple. Oh, didn't quite make the jump, got stuck on the patio. Don't you hate it when you get stuck on a patio? The bane of my childhood, truly. Make sure we're at the door. Now, we gotta worry here, because there is a chance the game can soft lock here, and I'm not sure what causes it, so we're just gonna do nothing. And now if the enemies spawn here, then it's worked. Oh! I think we got the soft lock. We got the soft lock. Just killing this guy change anything? Oh.
Alright, now you've done it.
And now you see why we time this game with in-game time, because sometimes stuff like that happens. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So basically we gotta restart the level. There might be a way around that, but if there is, I haven't found it. At least the game, I couldn't remember if it started you off back at the start of the wheel or at the actual level you just did, but it put us back at the level we just did. How thoughtful. Hope you like loading screens again. And now I have to figure out a way to fill time in like the first half of a level I've already explained. It's 5:45 in the morning. I just want everyone to appreciate that.
There'll be no more bottoms busted while I'm in the neighborhood.
I mean, I'm happy to be here. I'm glad to be playing the game. I'm glad to be on this stream. And if everyone's having a good time, then I'm glad that they're having a good time. Just sometimes the game can be a bit of a cheese. You know how it is.
To make them brighter. My shots may not be effective against these guys in the dark, but a well-aimed power shot should do the trick.
Wait for some dudes to spawn. Get in the light. And I'm going to use the charge shot to see what it does to this guy. Oh, it knocked him towards us. Get back here, no! Oh, he died. We didn't have to fire off that extra shot. Okay. Theory crafting in a marathon. We found out that what I just did doesn't work. Now we're basically going to do the same thing we just did, with a little bit less energy, but we had full meter last time and I think we used like half of it, so shouldn't be too much of an issue.
All right, now back to rescuing those poor children from Count Spanky-Lot's spank-happy minions.
Just making sure again we get the weapon parts. We got to get the soup can laser. Just to reiterate, I'm sorry everyone, I know of all the stages that can relatively easily softlock, it had to be one of the longest and least tech-intensive and least interesting levels in the game. Sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Thankfully this guy's attacking us, but it's not doing anything because we have iframes and lots of them. Get back here, you! Wow, this guy is not cooperating today. Okay, there, he finally died. We do that instead of luring him over to the light, because... Have you ever tried luring an enemy into melee range when they have ranged attacks? It usually doesn't work the way you'd hoped. Oh. Movement, not quite working. Okay, managed to get back on the path. Oh. Get the thing. See if we can get a little extra juice along the way. Get some juice. I don't know what that is. It's probably like a milkshake or something.
Kids next door scam. Soup can and magnified photon phaser.
Photon phaser? Is that what that said? Lock onto the enemy, please. Ow. Again, avoided damage. Nice. Just gotta make sure we're all topped up on energy, considering how much of it we had to use in the early part of the stage. Big words coming out of a man who, so far, has only been able to softlock the game. That should be a villain in this. Evil Sir Softlock Salot. There, that's my new character. When am I getting to show Cartoon Network? Now we are actually running sort of low on health, so if we can find a health pickup sort of along the way, we're probably going to want to do that.
Let's see what you think of this.
Oh, no, number one. Such naughty children cannot go unpunished.
No health in the bush. Sometimes there's health in the bush. It's worth it to check the bush. No health in there. In here? Nope. But we got some more juice. Now please, don't do this to me again. If this actually happens twice in one run, I'm not gonna be pleased. Okay, thank the Lord and all that is holy. we didn't soft lock the game, but we might still die. I want to look in here for some health. Health? Bush, please? No, it's all just juice. Okay, well, we're not going to run out of juice anytime soon. Give me the health. Ow. That came from downtown. Again, from downtown, this guy. These dudes, they're like that. Okay, the good news is we're getting to the end of the first half of the level. Yeah, this has all been half a level. Using the iframes there, just to be safe. Ooh, that was dangerous. This is also dangerous. Ow. No, please. Okay, there's health there. So we're not completely... No, 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 no. Okay. That was very scary. And now a loading screen to collect our thoughts. Where's my water? Ooh. Good thing is, by the time that this runs over, it'll be late. It'll be that time of the morning where I can have breakfast. So at least I've got a nice bowl of Cheerios to look forward to. A nice, wholesome breakfast. And now here we have the clock tower. I don't know why we're at a clock tower, but we are. Thankfully the game gave us full health. That was nice of them. And now what we have to do is we have to take on 3 waves of enemies, and then we're able to fight Count Spankulot and finally punish him for all the crap he's given us. So this first wave is about 18 or so of these small boys. Thankfully none of the big boys quite yet. And yes, that is those are the technical terms, as decreed by me. Because let's face it, I'm the only one who's running this game. I'm basically the authority. Well, I mean, actually, nah, I shouldn't shit on the Discord like that. Because the Discord is what got me running this game. They were the ones who were tinkering around with it in the first place. I just started putting into the runs, so shout out to the kids next door Discord. I know some of you are watching. I know some of you are here to support me in these trying times of game soft locking. Much love to the Discord. Okay, now we have the big. Now in this one, there's going to be 15 little boys and about 3 big boys. Now the big boys you want to take out pretty much as soon as possible, because while the little boys just sort of spawn on their own timers, the big boys' spawns are all relative to when the last one was killed. So we want to take those guys out as soon as they spawn, essentially. Like that. There we go. Very well done. And we want when the next one spawns is when we will pick up the super juice, because it fills. I can never remember if it's 2 or 3 shots worth of energy. And now there's going to be a few seconds of downtime before one last dude spawns, and then the cog will turn and we'll be able to go into the 3rd and final wave of enemies. Now, this one is 15 small boys and 7 big boys, spawning in 3 waves of 2, followed by 1 on his own. Now, interestingly enough, the lights are going to actually turn off here at one point to prepare us for when that will happen during the Count Spankulot fight.
They're my minions!
So we need to be prepared for when that happens. Oh, get back here. You want to make sure your positioning is good in these fights so that you can bring the little boys over to the nearest source of light and damage them. You! He just pushed past me and dodged the attack. How dare he? Sometimes stuff like that just happens. Count Spankulot himself can do it as well. Which is important to note because we're going to be cheesing him a lot with the charge attacks. In fact, we're actually surprisingly low. I think we forgot to pick one. I think there was an extra one in the second area that we forgot to pick up. Thankfully, when the lights turned out there, we were in the middle of fighting some of the big dudes. Fighting some of the real boys. I'm speedrunning a licensed PS2 game at a marathon as if I was one of the real boys. And now we pretty much just wait for the last dude to spawn. I've not been counting how many of these dudes spawn, I just know that there's 15 of them. Okay, this dude spawns. Get in the light. Okay, good. We hit him before we managed to get out of the light. And now we might be in a wee bit of trouble here with regards to our energy. Oh, the positioning here is not good. We want to be not nearly this close to him. Okay, we salvaged it. Basically, we have to time our charge attacks here perfectly, because when Spankulot warps in... Ow! And that's why we don't want to be too close to him. His teleport animation has a lot of iframes. So we need to charge it, time it so that our charge ends as the animation does, and then we can hit him. And we also want him to not do that attack, because he jumps up, which means our laser is avoided. Thankfully, when we're not quite prepared for him like that, we have the added bonus of being able to time our laser so that he jumps down back into it. Backup strats. Hell yeah.
You more than me!
We've been getting unlucky with the spawns today. Thankfully, I think only one more, and... There we go, he's dealt with. Just on time. What's the end of level time there? 11:53, an improvement over last run to be sure. And again, because we're running on in-game time, we can just ignore the fact that the game's soft-locked. But don't worry, we can catch our breath, because there's another shmup level. Don't worry, this one's a good deal shorter than the previous one, and there's more to do. This is Operation Tarpoon, and as I was informed last time I did this run, a tarpoon is a type of fish, apparently. So now here, basically, we want to be using the chicken soup as much as possible, so we're not going to kill these dudes. We're going to make sure that we have a chicken soup saved up, and then, only then, we can start pressing the square button. Because the way this level works is we have to retrieve 10 items. And we retrieve them from these dudes, so we're going to... And we have... So basically we have to DPS these dudes down as soon as possible. So getting these upgrades is going to be even more important, as well as making sure that we have a super powerful attack for whenever the big pirate ships spawn. Because yeah, we're fighting pirates now. And this is where I mentioned Mark Hamill earlier. This is his character, Sticky Beard, who is a pirate that steals candy from children. Yes, we have a villain who literally takes candy from babies. And we want him to not do that, so we're going to track him down, get onto his ship, and beat him 7 ways from Sunday.
Full speed ahead, number 2. We can't let these pirates keep us from capturing Sticky Beard.
There we go. Get the engine block. There's 10 of those. I think I mentioned that earlier. I'm repeating myself now. There we go. Where would we be without a healthy smattering of chicken soup wherever we go? Even when fighting pirates, you gotta stave off those colds with some of Mama's home cooking. Oh geez, I forgot you spawned from the side there, good sir. So yeah, you've seen the basic idea behind the stage.
Beard is gonna be mine. Served cold like the Arctic prison cell that's waiting for you.
Now we're not going to chicken soup this dude immediately because there's going to be... because we can get a 2-for-1 deal if we just hold off on it for just a little bit. There we go. Oh, but... oh, the timing on this. We've got to wait to get the thing. Okay. I was worried for a sec that having to wait for the engine block was going to mean we missed out on damage per second. So yeah, it's just a matter of balancing out between getting the pirates off screen, getting the chicken soup, and making sure you're picking up these weapon upgrades. That's the main thing here. Gotta keep the triangle balanced. Now we've got the rockets again, which do a whole heck of a lot of damage. Chicken soup. And the rockets, and he's done. See how easy it is when you just use soup? I should probably actually let these guys shoot because they're not staying on screen long enough to fire any projectiles for us to use as soup energy.
Speaking of sales, I hope you got a discount on those flying crow's nests. You get it? Sale? Discount?
Again,
Would you
numbers 2 stage. Puns. And not very good ones. Even number 5's fed up of it. You can hear her. Thankfully, she's not the one who has to stay in the ship with him. We're playing as her in the next stage.
Ha! You call these fearsome pirates? I've seen pirates bobbing for apples on Halloween with better aim.
We lose out a bit of DPS there because we get the weapon upgrade, which means our rockets go out to the side. But thankfully we're going to make up for that with the next one, which gives us homing rockets. Which, if we can clear the enemies off the screen, means we can defeat the last ship before he even touches down. Not this last ship, but one... I think the one after him? Or the one after it, rather? There we go. What's this one? Oh, that's 8 out of 10, so there's 2 more. You see there?
Pretty pirate's gotta be tougher than that. Hit him again, number 2.
Just making sure that we've got enough soup to do the DPS. That's the important thing here. I'm focusing on it. We'll get used to it. It's a very important part of the DPS factor. The factorage, the equations, the quick maths, as it were. Quick maths. God, I'm so white.
Why not call them R's instead of root up? Missed again, sticky beard. Guess I just take
I'm sure whatever you were about to say was clever, number 2, but we ignored it because we just finished the level. 603, yep, that's about as long as that usually takes. Now we move on to Operation Shipshape, the second and final of number 5 stages. It's a stealth level, because you know license games, we gotta just put in them genres. You know how it is. Now the good thing about this means that we can hit enemies in the back for a one-hit kill. The bad news is, they do a lot more damage, and are generally harder to bring down. But we've got ways of dealing with it, which means we can pretty much go as fast as we like. So we just go through here, punt this guy in his back, he goes down, he's angry at us, but he won't give us any trouble. Now these guys are grouped up, which is good. That went surprisingly well. That encounter normally requires more than one super attack. We heard Mark Hamill utter a single syllable, and that's about the most we're going to get out of him, was one syllable at a time. Now these dudes are going to see us, we're going to let them converge, and then jump forward. Oh, but this dude, Fat McFuck, is essentially acting as a human shield for his buddy, but it isn't really that effective. We've just got to watch out for any damage we take, because there's no health in this part of the level. And oh, this guy is on an extraordinarily fast cycle. But we managed to deal with it. And in fact, that actually makes things a little bit easier, because normally he shows up and aids these guys. Okay, we're running low on super energy, but we can get a little bit more here, and these guys heard none of it, so we can just slap them in their bums, and down they go. Now there's some more moving platforms here, which, like in the fan segment of Donutty, they're on a global timer. We got a good cycle here. Well, except for this one. We're gonna have to wait just a little bit. Our health's looking a little precarious, but don't worry, we will get some more in a little bit. Had good luck with the platforms. Another wall jump segment. The wall jump rarely gets used in this game, actually. It's mostly optional. Oh, we didn't quite make the cycle on that guy. Sometimes you can kill him before that little checkpoint cutscene triggers. But instead, we're just gonna wait. Let him walk past. Slap him in his... Oh! Hello! That's not supposed to happen. I've got to be careful here, because these dudes have guns. They killed us. Okay, the good news is we're going to respawn pretty much right where we were with full health. This guy's trying to kick our corpse out of the way. That's no good. We still have a little super energy if things go south here, but now essentially we just have to stealth our way through here. That time, that's how it's supposed to go. So we lost a little bit of time there because of the death. Now we come down into this next section, wait for this guy to do his little shimmy about. Hit this guy through the banister, kill this dude, and then the last survivor, dead before he even knows what hits him. Now we're going to go up here, get the thing, and then drop through the trapdoor, and this would have been where we got the health. But we don't have to worry about that anymore, now do we? And now, we gotta take out these dudes with the cannons while also fighting the regular-ass enemies. Now basically, you see there's a health bar at the bottom. We don't have to worry about that. That's essentially a time limit because our allies are flying around on a ship, on their ship, and they're taking shots in the cannonballs, and that's why we have to take out these cannon guys. So we're just gonna get the health. Is there a dude around there? I thought I could have sworn there was a dude, but there wasn't a dude. There was no dude at all. Oh, We might be in trouble here. Okay, I think we're good.
Couple more of these sugar-coated beats to deal with, and it's all good. Y'all better duck now.
Oh, we missed this guy. So we're just gonna beat him down with regular attacks. And we are... Actually, no, we don't need the health, because there's no more enemies, and we'll get plenty of health before going into the boss fight.
And I may have silenced those guns, but number 5 ears are gonna be ringing for a week.
So now we basically have to do this for essentially no reason. They just elongated the stage for... I want to say no reason. I'm not sure what plot or logistical purpose this little levers and pulleys section actually serves. But we gotta do it, so we do it. Now those essentially were the last enemies we're going to see in the stage, other than the boss fight against Sticky Beard himself, which is a bit of an RNG fest and heavily cycle-based, so it's one of the longer boss fights, but thankfully we can short it with the return of our good buddy Acronyms, Kids Next... Oh, get off the pole. Kids Next Door Operation Uppercut. Undesired pirate portion avoided handily, citing underrated technique. Because you see... We've been able to attack with triangle this entire time, but we don't really use it because there's... I mean, why would you? It's identical to the square attack, essentially. Except for one thing. For some reason, when you use the triangle attack on Sticky Beard in its super form, it causes him to forget to reset and skip a cycle. And I just realized we came in here with nowhere near enough super energy. Oh well. Now we get this health, just side jump down here, and I'm going to show just a little bit of a swag thing here. The door's going to close, and we're in the boss. That's just a little thing to do for fun. Now what's going to happen here is Sticky Beard is invulnerable until we break open these treasure chests to reveal a green pirate-shaped candy, which he will not be able to resist and will dive for, exposing his posterior... Oh, there he is. And this is the RNG portion of the fight. Is you basically have to hope that the Jolly Roger candy is nearby. Now it's on this next cycle where for some reason he'll, if we can get the super attacks in, which I hope we have enough energy for. Okay, now we do. Which he will just forget to go back after the requisite 2 super attacks. Instead he'll only go back after 4. And we're getting bad RNG here. There it is. Now, don't mess up. There we go. Sometimes the game has a nasty habit of dropping super inputs for essentially for no reason at all, but it just happens. We have to deal with it. And now you see he's attacking with like 3 of these giant hard candies instead of just the 1. That's how you can tell that we've done it right. There's good. There's some good RNG. And I don't know why we attacked in the wrong direction there. We're much just saving super energy because we are not going to have enough to be able to properly finish him off. Oh, hello. And that was a pretty good Sticky Beard aside from that second phase Jolly Roger RNG. And a 751 is... Oof.
It's time for number 5 to kick his bon bedecked butt.
I don't know why the dialogue continues into the autosave screen like that, but it does. And now we have Operation Brush Off, which is another number 3 level. And it's again in this backyard clock tower section that Spankerific was just at. Thankfully, this one can't soft lock, so we don't have to worry about that, but it's still a pretty long stage. So basically, oh, I should probably explain the actual premise of this level with my time. Basically, new villain Nightbrace, who's like an evil dentist, has decided that he's going to make a new toothpaste that proves children brush their teeth by essentially turning their teeth bioluminescent. He accomplishes this by incorporating paste made from mashed up fireflies into the toothpaste. So of course we want to help our cute, buzzy little insect friends by stopping them from getting made into mulch. So basically we just gotta collect fireflies. Miss the jump. Gonna get the parts to the weapon here, because there will be enemies in this stage that we will have to fight. And some of them can kill our fireflies, which is very... Oh, that's not good. Very much what we don't want to have happen. Man, these aren't even difficult jumps. I don't know why I'm messing these up. There we go. Alright, just keep gliding through, get these fireflies. We can only take 4 at a time, so there's 2, basically groups of 4 in each level that we have to pick up and deliver to the exit. You might be wondering why I don't use the strafe jump as number 3 in this section. That's because when number 3 uses the strafe jump, she has a little kind of pirouette at the end, which makes her stop in place and means that using the strafe jump is actually slower than just walking normally. God, I've talked up the strafe jump, but realistically we've barely used it, because there's not many chances to use it. It's pretty much just whenever you get a straight, you just open her up. Come up here for the weapon part, come down here for the bugs. Oh, yep, just making sure that we've collected them. Come back over here, get the one that we jumped over. Come over here, get the gun.
Next door, Thumper. Teddy hurling ultra microwave powered ejection rifle.
So yeah, apparently this is a microwave powered teddy bear launcher that we can use to actually fight enemies for once.
They do what? Well, that's not very nice.
Now that we actually have a gun.
So I guess we'll just have to stay away from those zombie things together.
She says we don't have any weapons when we just defeated an enemy with a weapon. Now here's the thing we've got to watch out for. Those like female zombie dentist creatures. That was a sentence. But yeah, there's male ones as well. Here we see them, those ones in like the blue. And we have to watch out for them because they, with a shine from their bright bioluminescent braces, will be able to destroy our fireflies. And that is very much a thing we don't want to have. You're still alive. Excuse me. Excuse me, sir. Anyway. Good thing is here we can't target the bug zappers. Here they're actually going to hinder us because they will kill our fireflies and make us go have to pick them up again. So we want to avoid those, if at all possible. Oh, good cycle? No. Thankfully we can jump over it, because apparently light doesn't extend upwards in this universe. Strange. That was a voice crack. Get it together. Ooh, my back still hurts. Gotta work on that posture. Take out this guy so we can't ruin our fun. There's 3 of them there. Gonna bring them over anyway. I've just now realised that's the slow way because the other firefly is right here. But whatever, we did it. Now we just gotta live with it. This is how the marathon crumbles. Ow. Even though these enemies can't kill our fireflies, they could certainly kill us, which is annoying. Like we don't have, thankfully, with number 3 in either of our levels, we don't have to worry about super energy basically at all, because there's no reason for us to use the super fire. Ooh. Oh geez, where's the 4th one? Oh geez, this isn't supposed to happen. I've lost a firefly, I don't know where it is. Oh, it's over there, blended in with the flowers. I swear normally I know where that is. Oh well. At least we can get back to the gate pretty quick, pretty sharpish. That's not too much of a time loss. As far as big time losses go.
Spooky forest with spooky, spooky trees.
Oh, okay, we didn't even have the fireflies and he killed them. A little overzealous, perhaps? So that's what happens when he uses his teeth, his shiny teeth attack. It's goddamn Chip Skylark from the Fairly Odd Parents. There's a topical joke. Anyway, get the fireflies, take them to the gate, move back, get the other fireflies. You know how this goes by now. We're having some good movement in this area, thankfully. Right. Now this will be the final area before we move on to the clock tower, because yes, they found a way to work the clock tower in. Can't have a backyard level without a clock tower, that's a rule of gaming now. Oh, I'll have to have something to drink during the loading screen. I forgot to kill the dangerous enemies. Oh, this could be bad. And yes, it was. The one time I forget to kill him. Okay, so thankfully we just bounce back up here, get the firefly that's respawned. Should probably turn my thing back, my audio interface back down. Because I'm starting to get sort of more comfortable in my volume.
Don't worry, Firefly. I'd never brush my teeth with Firefly buns.
In fact, you know what? I'm going to put it down a bit more. Just to be on the safe side. Who knows, really? I'm going to watch this VOD back, and the chat replay is going to have a million messages about the audio. And I'm going to be embarrassed on stream. Ow. Well, that's embarrassing on stream. Taking damage at point-blank range. That's pretty embarrassing. You seen the streamer? They got embarrassed on stream. Tonight, Richard softlocks the game. James gets embarrassed on stream. And I wear a hat. There's a joke for you. Now we're at another loading screen. I'm going to take that drink I was talking about.
The audio's fine.
Glad to hear it. Thank you very much.
No problem.
So yeah, we've got to do one last Firefly segment, divided into quarters. We can pick up 8 of the little feckers this time. Ain't that lovely? And I was practicing other things during the earlier, so this could go horribly wrong. I mean, it already has just there, because I strafe jumped in the wrong direction.
Twice as many as before. Wow, I didn't know you guys could do math. Ooh, pretty clock tower.
Come on, grab him. There we go.
I wanna ring the bell. Ring-a-ling, ring-a-ling.
See, the direction you move is relative to where the camera is, or actually, I don't know how to explain it, it's just difficult. Oh jeez. First things first, get in the clock.
Fireflies, I'll never get past those gears without getting smushed. Looks like it's all up to you now. Sorry.
Almost forgot to deposit the flies before collecting more flies. Gotta make sure you deposit your flies. Make sure that you've...
You're welcome,
I don't know where
Fireflies.
I'm going with that
You
joke.
have your friends to rescue and I'll be done.
And I apparently decided to do this in reverse order, but this is the way we're doing it. I mean, it's not faster to do it any particular order, it's just... The segment to the left there is normally the harder one, so normally we want to get that out of the way second rather than last.
Aw, you don't need to thank me, Firefly friends. I've still got half of your friends to rescue.
Oh! Gotta make sure that where it's possible you get all of the fireflies in one pass. I think that was all of them. I can't count them in that cluster. If it's a multiple of 8, we're good.
You're too kind.
Yeah,
I
there
couldn't
we
have
go.
done it without you, you cute little glowy fireflies.
Right, there's one last group of 4. Make sure it actually is 4 and that we don't miss a firefly like an idiot. God, this idiot who missed the firefly. God, could you believe it? Never seen such a thing. Anyway, level's over. Just thought you ought to know that. The level just ended. So now we see the fireflies flying away in celebration while the clock tower does a revival era Doctor Who regeneration effect. I mean, that is what that is, essentially. What was the time there? 11:26. Respectable. So remember to skip the cutscene. And now we have a loading screen leading us to Operation Cavity Cave. We've taken out one arm of Nightbrace's operations, and now we go and fight the man himself. This level will bring us to, sadly, the final acronym. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Loading screen, please. There's not much to talk about at the start of this level. Okay, there we go. Now, first thing we're going to do is immediately turn around and get a weapon upgrade piece that's just out of sight. Go jumping down the cave. And here we access the main computer, which normally... Yeah, no, I'll explain the acronym a little bit later. Because the first thing we have to do is rely on RNG for Early Computer, which I have never gotten in a run, but I'm going to have a go at it. It's not that hard. It basically involves just mashing circle every time you kill an enemy and hoping that the thing that triggers once you've killed all the enemies activates a little bit early. Basically, if you just stand by the computer the entire time, and if you see a press circle to activate, then congratulations, you're a lucky son of a bitch, and you've gotten the skip. I wish there was a We got it, but not that early. Because I'm pretty sure all the enemies died anyway. So anyway, normally what we're supposed to do here is go into all 4 of these areas and activate the 4 bits of the passcode to open the door. But we don't do that because we don't play by the rules. Instead we use Kids Next Door Operation Computer. Cave obstruction mandating passwords utterly tarnished, enabling rapidness. There's your final acronym. I hope you liked it. So basically what we're going to do here is, remember what we did in Boogification for the disco skip? We're going to do that. Just got to find the right angle. That ain't the right angle. Oh, yes it is. There we go. God, those skips used to be run killers that you could spend like 2 minutes on and never get them, but now you get them. They're kind of easy.
One wrong step and my entire cavity collection is history.
Now, I've had some embarrassing deaths here, so I'm going to shut up and focus. was very nearly an embarrassing death. On stream. We're taking an unnecessary and worrying amount of damage. Okay, we got the thing. Don't jump in the lava. Or the fluoride, I should say. Don't let the camera confuse you there. Now the thing about the enemies in this stage, if you hadn't noticed, was that you have to kill them all essentially twice. Because when you kill them one time, they come back to life. Like, see, we just killed that enemy. She's back. Just put a blaster on it. Now we just now we just go over here, make sure we get the necessary Vippin. And get some health too while we're at it. We were looking a little low. Zip up here, because this is still a game mechanic. Incapacitate her, even though she's going to come back, it doesn't matter. Destroy this thing.
Who cares if it tastes bad? It's for kids!
Hope you enjoyed the one line of dialogue Tom Kenny gets that we hear in its entirety.
Next door, Bajuka blasts aloft juicy overfilled orange cartons amazingly.
Now we have a mailbox that shoots OJ. Truly the pinnacle of weapons development. And now we come up to this. This is basically the final area before the boss.
That gate appears to have
I'll let
some
number
sort of
one explain it.
seal on it. I need to short circuit it, but how?
Yeah, we can't get through the thing because it's sealed. How do you break seals?
Aha! Nightbase must
Why,
use
I'll
this
show
control
you.
panel to command his Dentadrones. If I can gain control of a drone, I bet I can guide it to short
All
out
you
that
think you know how to break seals? You got it all wrong. Just play Pac-Man. That's all you gotta do. The fast cycle there. So yeah, basically we have to play 5 games of Pac-Man in order to open this door to the boss.
Just as I suspected, the headgear has shorted out part of the gate. 4 more drones should be enough to get it open.
And just while we just let these drones writhe in agony, we're just gonna play more Pac-Man. That's how it is. There's no real way to do this faster or slower. You can see at the start there I'm like dipping off to the side. That's to trick the AI into trying to cut me off when in actuality I'm moving to a different direction. I'm just juking it, faking it out. Look, see here? Deep. Just dip off to the side. Oh, it didn't quite work there. Okay, I thought that dude in the blue was going to come for me, but no. Look, there he is. Writhing in agony, but we're having fun with it.
It could be so much fun. It's like racing a remote-controlled car.
Glad you're having fun, number one. Now here we're essentially just waiting in a queue behind this guy. The girl one always like comes back around, so it's almost impossible to get that fast cycle straight up through the middle. You have to go around. Excuse me, pardon me. Yeah, if you just so much as touch any of them, even from behind, you die. And have to start again with another drone. 25 rainbow monkeys, that's a secret. We're not really looking for those at all. They don't add anything to the run. They're just there, and if you get them, cool. Oh, okay. Lost track of where I was going. And now we gotta make our way through ourselves. As projectiles are hitting us, just dodge. Never died there before. That's embarrassing. Oh well, it doesn't put us back too much. Yeah, that's a very tight jump to make. You can see there I was actually starting to slip off the edge, and I still only just managed to get a ledge grab. The same thing happened there. Very precarious, these... Ow. I'm just making extra double sure that I don't die. And now the teeth close up, and we have one final loading screen before the fight with Nightbrace himself. Another long loading screen. Our shirt's blue there. I'm confused as to how that's happening. Our shirt's been red the entire game. Come on, Nightbrace. Keep Nightbrace. Invest in a better monitor. You're running like a worldwide dental operation. Surely you can spring for like a solid 4K monitor. Now this fight, upcoming fight with Nightbrace, sucks. There's a fast way to do it, but it's essentially pure RNG as to whether or not his hitbox decides to work in the correct manner, because you're supposed to be able to hit him from his back, but when he does a spinning attack you can sometimes hit him, but sometimes not, and it's surprisingly random as to what constitutes a hit and what doesn't. It's incredibly irritating. So yeah, here's Nightbrace. His pattern is completely set, so there's not exactly much we can do to speed it up for now. He'll rotate to face us, and he's going to do an attack where he slams both his drills into the ground.
My shots are useless, and I'm getting the cavities drilled out of you. Maybe if I tried attacking Nightbrace from behind.
And I see this attack is... not this attack, this attack. This is the one that sucks. If we need to get 8 hits here in order to get fast Nightbrace. So that's 2. Seven. Oh, that's so annoying. So that means we have to wait for him to do another attack, which we will be able to get 1 hit in before he hits a damage threshold. Here we go. So that we hit him 1 time and instantly. Normally we can avoid that by getting the 8 hits in during this spinning attack. 1, 2. See, this time he cooperates. And he's dead. Not the slowest Nightbrace in the world, but by no means the fastest. Alright, what's the time? Skip the dialogue. And 9:25? I'm pretty sure that's exactly the same as what I got in my last run. And now, the final regular level, the final, like, moving around and punch and attacking things level, you know the sort I mean, is Operation Overflow, where our boy, the Toilet Nader, comes back for one last hurrah. Facing off against his arch-nemesis and nephew, number 4. There's a little bit of Kids Next Door canon for you. Yeah, just wait for the level to start. And here we are again, in the tutorial room, facing off against the Toilet Nader, but this time, he's brought reinforcements. The Toilet Paper Homunculus. A being that should not be, of wood and paper, brought to life through arcane... I'm just fucking with you. Trust me, if you think this constitutes out of ideas for an enemy, wait until you see the later enemy, because my word.
Come on! What are they? Commander? What the? Scummy toilet paper mummies? Throwing rolls of toilet paper? Don't you think you should hang on to that?
Now we've got to deal with these guys, because the main gimmick of this stage is throwing boxes to holes to be able to surpass these toilet paper obstacles.
Climb on top of a box.
But every time we get hit, we're going to drop the box. So we got to take out the enemies before we get the box. Now get this. Throw the box. These dudes show up. And we punch him. Some of them, the ones you can tell because, pardon my French, the ones covered in shit have projectile attacks, so we have to watch out for those, try and take those out first, but the melee ones are can be just as aggravating. We also want to make sure we get enough special parts to be able to get the weapon. Oh, I don't know why we went back for the box. We don't need that box. Just going to avoid these projectile dudes. We're on full health, which is quite frankly a miracle. Just throw the box. Get up here. Get this. And, okay, I want to be able to go for a fast strat here, but it's not going to happen, so we're just going to fight. I mean, it's in character to just give up on the fast strat there and fight. Especially because the fast strat is incredibly reckless and could very well kill us, even though we're at basically full health. So now we bring this forward. And here we're going to be introduced to that other enemy I mentioned. Not going to bother getting the cola. The cola was pretty much just for the unarmed attacks there, because the special attack on the weapon I think is actually bugged and doesn't do any extra damage. Anyway, here's that additional enemy, the turd homunculus. Yes, we're fighting piles of shit. Conker's Bad Fur Day, eat your heart out. They're just that game made a big thing out of its shit. Here the shit's just chilling. And if you think I'm just making a joke and it's like dirty toilet water or something, in the dialogue I skipped, number 4 literally complains about having to fight walking poo. They're trying to throw shit at me. So anyway, we break the toilets that are spawning them, and whenever we break the toilets, more toilet paper dudes are going to come down. A little bit late for that, lots of toilet paper with no toilet. But anyway, the cool thing is, whenever we break a toilet, it will essentially delete the previous toilet paper enemies. See there? Dude just despawned when it spawns more of them. And then, once this thing's dead, we want to kill the final toilet paper homunculus. There we go. And then the door opens, and hopefully we'll never have to fight any more of those ever again. Now there's an incredibly risky out-of-bounds strat here that I'm not going to go for because I haven't even explored it enough to work it into a strat. That'd be a task strat, if anything, but I'm not exactly about to download task tools just to learn how to task this. Well, I say that, but I have contemplated doing that multiple times. Gotta have a hobby. Anyway, final box puzzle there. Through we go. Get the cola, even though we don't need it. Up the shitwater river. And watch how these dudes just get owned. It spawns an enemy, and then that enemy instantly is just annihilated. Through the door, it's about to open. Oh, okay. Game decided to mess around with me. Whatever, we can deal with that. Bypass the enemies.
Now you've done it.
Go into the room, which the Toilinator has wrecked, so now it's personal. And now, with the cameras panning up very slowly to reveal the main thing we're both going to be fighting over. Number 4's special, unique, bronze toilet. He wants it, we want to not let him get it, but we're not going to fight him. Instead, we're going to race him up to the top.
No stupid Toilinator's gonna plug my cruddy toilet if I can help it. I'm gonna get there first.
Just making sure that we were in the correct position. That's actually, I've never gotten that strat before, so I just had to take a moment to savor it and make sure I didn't ruin it.
It's time to find out who's getting flushed and who's doing the flushing.
So here we go. We don't actually have to make it to the platform. We can just touch it and then fall right back down. But we got there anyway. What's the time on that? 6:15. Not bad. Anyway, coming up next is the worst level in the game. Operation Moon Trip. It's the final level before the final boss, but that doesn't mean we're out of the woods. It's the final shmup stage, and it lasts 16 minutes. I wish to God that I was making this up.
Kids next door.
It's also, ironically enough, the only shmup stage with a skip in it. Like we skip a cycle again, like with the snot bomber fight on the boss. But the way it's done here is just wonkier, that makes it feel more like they did not intend for you to do this. You'll see what I mean when the fight actually happens. So yeah, this is the longest shmup stage, and it's also the most difficult. So at times we are actually going to have to play the game, like in the way it was intended to be played, just to make sure that we don't die and lose a bunch of time. So yeah, that's Moon Trip for you. I'll be your guide for the next 15 minutes of your life. I can just feel anyone watching who thought this was a good speed game suddenly going, oh, and having second thoughts. You're not the one who's got to play it, mate. It's worth noting, I should probably explain like the actual plot and how this culminates the plot of the game. We've been fighting various Kids Next Door villains, and in the cutscenes we've skipped, sort of like an object or an item from them has been taken by Kree, who is like a teenager ninja, because teenagers are ninjas in this world, didn't you know? And she is working for the show's main antagonists, Father and the Delightful Children from Down the Lane. Now, the Delightful Children we're going to be fighting at the end of this stage, but then after we fight them in the next stage, we're going to have to be dealing with the Amalgamation, which is, as it says, an amalgamation of all the villains that we've fought over the course of the game. So just letting you know what's in store while we've got a bit of time to kill. I mean, we've got a lot of time to kill. The stage is like exactly 16 minutes and 25 seconds, if I don't die. Like, Snot Bomber is essentially the only interesting shmup stage, because it's the only one that has, like, variance in its times. Tarpoon in this level pretty much take the same amount of time every single time. Do you know anyone who speedruns shmups? Is there anyone out there who does that? I don't know if that's a thing. I mean, I assume someone's probably done it for a couple of them, because I'm sure some of them do have skips. I'm sure it's good to figure out, like, DPS patterns and not dying, and I'm sure it all looks very impressive, just not too many skips. Not a whole lot of actual speed tech going on. It's essentially just playing the game really well, I'd imagine. I'm probably horribly educated on this subject. At least you guys, by the way, have the luxury of having a timer running next to this. I'm not running a timer because I'm just adding up the in-game times, so I have no idea how far into this I am, or I have a vague idea because my phone's right there. But other than that, I'm flying blind. You know what's going on better than me, quite frankly. That's the sad state of affairs. Also, are you seeing these enemies? I mean, my word. This is essentially, it's turned from a regular shmup into an actual bullet hell game. I mean, the word bullet hell gets thrown around a lot, pretty much just to describe anything with bullets. Now, we need to get actual bit of gameplay commentary. We need to get these guys off the screen sharpish, because they determine when the level actually advances, when they die. Without the chicken soup, it's very hard to actually bring them down in time before they just go off the screen themselves. What we also tried to do there was to kill them while also staying as close to the center of the screen as possible. Because we have to be in the center in order for it to transition. It's like in, you know, the anti-asteroids levels in Earthworm Jim? How, like, whenever you finish those, Jim, like, slowly pans down to, like, an area of the screen before he moves actually off-screen? It's like that, essentially. And I mean, this place even looks similar. It's like a tube in the middle of space, and there's even some asteroids. How lovely. These dudes suck, by the way. Their lasers, like, cover up a whole bunch of space, and they can't be absorbed at all. Hopefully we can reach out these dudes, and this gives us our rockets. We've only got one rocket at the moment, but we go right to the homing rocket, which is very nice. We are on disturbingly low health. Thankfully, there's some small fry coming in, so we should be able to refuel, as it were. Playing the video game. I want to say I'm about 7 minutes into the stage. I think. I'm really not sure. Like I said earlier, I'm flying blind. So the homing rockets thankfully make these dudes a lot easier to DPS down when there's no other enemies on the screen. And talking of no enemies on the screen, we gotta wait for these asteroids. Remember I said there's asteroids? I mean, there'd already been asteroids, but now there's even more asteroids. We basically just gotta dodge these, although we're gonna damage boost through the last one because it's in the center and we wanna... It's faster to take the hit and not have to watch the animation of us slowly panning back to the center. Right. There we go. That was the third transition, I'm pretty sure, and you have to watch 5.
What's that blinking? Don't touch that! It's a button! You stay away from buttons!
Good advice there from number 2. Keep the idiot friend away from buttons in spacecraft. That seems like solid life advice. Yeah. quad shot now. We've never had a quad shot before. Or a triple shot. Do we have a triple shot in Tarpoon? You'd think I would know these things by now. Well, I guess not. I know about the important parts of this game. There we go, damage per second. What do you know about that? I don't actually know when the last wave of enemies is, so I'm saving the chicken soup for essentially I don't know when. That's the grim reality. Also, the fact that the dudes spawn behind you, that's a real kick in the teeth. Just makes it feel more and more like a guaranteed hit that the enemies are going to get on you. There, that's where we should have used it. I always forget that. You'd think I'd commit the stage more to memory with how tedious it is.
Somebody wake number 5 when we get to the goal.
Anyway, I'm pretty sure this is the last enemy segment before getting to the actual boss, which thankfully has a lot less going on than this stage. Final weapon upgrade. So now we have multiple homing rockets as well as our quad shot. Sorry, just my eyes like glazed over and I just went into like, I don't want to say a zen, because that implies I was actually sort of focusing instead of just holding down square and looking out for health pickups. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say. I'm not sure how to make this interesting. It's a 15-minute auto-scroll, really, what do you want from me? Really and truly. I'm probably taking too much damage here. Thankfully there's 2 health pickups. Get a load of that. Okay, the last asteroids are here, so we're going to be moving into the boss any moment now. It's going to be like a few more straggler enemies. We don't have to worry about health because there's... Basically the boss does not damage us, except for occasionally, and it also drops plenty of health throughout the fight. Hope you're enjoying this, like, triumphant-ass music. Which I'm pretty sure is just taken from the show, I could be wrong. Gonna tank that, even though we probably had time to reposition, we're not gonna. Traditionalists.
It's a trap!
What? What are you talking about, number 3?
My seatbelt! It's too tight! I feel trapped! Hello? I'm trying to fly here!
Make sure we're all nice and healthy. And you'll know when the boss turns up. Flying Mansion. So yeah, we use the chicken soup, which allows us to essentially skip this phase here. You can see the lasers, they're meant to be attacking us. The game's not used to the boss being vulnerable this early. So that's going to hit us, and now essentially we just have to damage these lasers, because we can't absorb them for chicken soup energy. So we've got to wait for it to start shooting regular bullets. which will happen in a bit. Do that a couple of times, and that's a dead boss. The thing I said earlier about having to periodically repress space,
How do you plan on defeating
the timing is essentially,
No problem.
when the rockets start firing.
I think the dumber
2
is-
rockets fire, and then on the 3rd rocket is when you want to repress space. That's not like the absolute limit, it's just a good rhythm that I like to get into.
number 3?
And yeah, this is the boss. We just sit in the middle of the lasers and destroy them and get given health for doing nothing. This is your penultimate boss, people. More at regular bullets.
Stay on target. Stay on target.
I really don't need any more pressure, number 5.
I'm just saying.
And one more cycle of this, and the level will finally be over. As it just goes 7 AM, we pull into the final stretch of the run. Alright. And finally we're done. Ugh. 16... Where did I pull 9 seconds from? I mean, I'll take it, but... I'm not entirely sure how that happened. Okay, and time for the final boss, Operation Lunar Rumble, as we fight the amalgamation in essentially a giant mech. The Kids Next Door moonbase has transformed into a giant mech, and we're fighting an evil, giant combination of villains. Yeah. I feel like that sums things up pretty good. I'm sorry, I'm still confused about that last stage. Normally it's 16:25 exactly every time. Where did I pull 9 seconds from? I'm so confused. I can't remember everything I did over 16 minutes. I don't know what I did different. Anyway, final boss time. We want to keep about this distance from the boss, except it's going to move towards us, because of course it is. We want to keep this kind of distance, because then it will not use attacks that can, like, that are very difficult to dodge. And we also want to be using our super attack basically off cooldown. If that coincides with an attack and lets us get iframes, then beautiful. If it doesn't, then whatever. There's one particular attack we don't want to see, which is Nightbrace's attack, where it will essentially launch a laser of fluoride, which is incredibly difficult to dodge. In fact, yep, it's going to do it right here. And we just about managed to dodge it. Oh, we took a hit because we were locked in position there by the super attack.
Oh yeah, let's beat the stuffing out of them, guys. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Get
There's
the
the little, like, robots in the previous stage just sort of flying around
in space.
and
No one
just
can
poking
handle
at us,
that.
essentially. There, we use the iframes. Probably could have... Okay, never mind. Managed to damage him enough that he reset and didn't do the fluoride attack. And it's coming down to about half health, which means this phase is about to end, so neither of us can do projectile attacks anymore. There we go. So now it turns into a melee fight, which as a kid I thought was the most infuriating part of the fight by far, because you essentially couldn't trade with him. But you don't have to trade with him, you can just use the jump attack to permanently stagger him forever. And use the super attack when you get a chance, of course. So yeah, this is going to be the rest of the fight, essentially. So time is going to be coming up at the end of this fight, which should be in about a minute or two. It's not exactly the most exhilarating final boss fight, but I mean, it's the safest and most cathartic way to do it. I say cathartic because, seriously, this boss gave me so much trouble when I was a wee bab. So yeah, just keep doing this. When your super comes off cooldown, use it. Because yeah, instead of actually getting super energy, we just get it, in case you hadn't noticed. We just get it over time. All the while, the delightful hive mind from down the lane keeps taunting us. Because apparently we didn't beat them hard enough in the last level. Defeat them hard enough, rather. I'm not advocating for anything sketchy here. Talking about beating children, that's not exactly the most wholesome thing in the world, in any context. Anyway, awkward conversation topics aside, boss is getting pretty low on health. Tends to come in at around the 4-minute mark here. So unless a miracle happens, this won't be a new PB. Which I can live with that. I'm just too used to finding new stuff about this game in between runs to the point that pretty much every run has become a new record or a new PB. Okay, time is going to be coming up on this next hit. And... oh, no, what? Time. That was a 4:15, which brings our final time to 1:54:15. Which is perfectly respectable. Let's enjoy our ending cinematic, because normally I don't get to watch it. As the villains get launched out into the vacuum of space.
My brilliant plan, ruined again by those blasted kids next door.
So yeah, that's that. And now they do like the Star Wars thing, of course. God, look at those identical... I've never noticed that before. Like, these identical rows of kids. I think they're the same models for them, like, the Nightbrace enemies. Wow, you notice things when you actually watch cutscenes, don't you? Oh, well. That was... oh, I skipped it by accident. And we get a loading screen for the credits. Oh dear. Well, I think the credits are just a shmup level. We've seen enough shmup levels to last a lifetime on this run. So yeah, that was Codename Kids Next Door, Operation Video Game. Hope you all enjoyed the run. I certainly did. In parts, at least. Sometimes the game just does stuff to you. You know how it is. Been a pleasure running for you today. What an item.
Pleasure having you.
Thank you very much.
No problem, man.
Have a good rest of the stream. I am